Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gaming News, where we discuss everything within the gaming industry. And today we have topics like Activision Blizzard. We're going to be talking about the Artesian Builds debacle in the last couple of days, and then we're going to talk about GMG Union Workers, which is the group handling Go Media platforms. So, with all of that said, let's get started right into the news. So first we are covering Activision. And of course, Activision was recently purchased by Microsoft, and they're still in the middle of a number of different lawsuits, as well as a lot of different questions raised as to the various IPs with Activision Blizzard and what will happen with their player base, their payment schemes, etc., so on and so forth. And this is a topic that we've been covering for months, and today there are, of course, more news. Now, I wanted to first show you that last week there was an article that popped up from Game Industry Biz. The article in question is Activision shareholder sues publisher over Microsoft acquisition. So, this is important because, as it is stated in this article, Activision Blizzard faces yet another lawsuit, the latest being from one of its own shareholders over his complaints about the planned sale to Microsoft. The lawsuit, shared by Polygon, was filed by Kyle Watson in California yesterday and describes the proposed $68.7 billion sale as unfair for a number of reasons. Anyways, after they talk a little bit about some of the claims that are being made in that court case, the article goes on to say, in addition to the previously reported $14.6 million that CEO Bobby Kotick will receive, the lawsuit claims other payouts will include $25.3 million for Chief Financial Officer Armin Zerza, $29 million for Chief Operating Officer Daniel Allegre, $11.3 million for Chief Administrative Officer Brian Bulletin, which we've talked about in previous videos, $14.8 million for Chief Legal Officer Grant Dixon, and $2.1 million for former Chief People Officer Claudine Nunn. The article, of course, continues that Activision is already facing a class action lawsuit from investors who claim the publisher did not disclose the issue with its workplace culture, issues that were surfaced by another lawsuit, this one from California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing, and an investigation by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which led to a proposed $18 million settlement. The SEC is already investigating how Activision Blizzard handled misconduct, an investigation that was reportedly broadened last month. Meanwhile, the Communications Worker of America Union, which is working with employees at Activision studio Raven Software to create a new union called the Game Workers Alliance, called for the SEC to investigate Activision Blizzard's disclosure around the proposed sale. When the company first filed to the SEC following the acquisition's announcement, the publisher claimed it was unaware of any employee strike action, despite the Raven Software strike being in its second month, and claimed it faced no legal proceedings that would have a material adverse effect, despite the aforementioned lawsuits from investors and government departments. From that point, there was another article that was released yesterday, which is Group urges FTC to monitor Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard. Now, before I continue here, I'm just going to say that I am really not surprised about this next article, if only because some of this we saw coming. And I've previously talked about the fact that while a lot of people in the gaming industry felt that the Microsoft purchase of Activision Blizzard was going to be a Hail Mary or a godsend or something for these IPs, that there were going to be repercussions and that it would be an uphill battle. And this just continues to show that I was not wrong in that thought process, and that it's really not going to be a one and done situation, that it's going to take a lot of work in order to pull themselves out of the ditches, so to speak. So let us continue with the article. Yesterday, a group of organizations released a letter asking the Federal Trade Commission to closely monitor Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard. The statement expressed a series of concerns that the deal could create such a data privacy issue, undermining online consumer protection, and wage suppression. I would just like to emphasize this again. Data privacy issues, undermining online consumer protections, and wage suppression. This is kind of a big deal, and I'm not surprised by this at all, because I've previously talked about, even though Microsoft made this purchase and Microsoft is going to do Microsoft's thing, there is nothing stopping them from forcing consumers to be part of their system, which means that there could very easily be many more data breaches than people expected. Right now, if you're going through a launcher like a Steam or an Origin or GOG or any of these platforms, that your personal information is at least moderately protected if you're using password managers, if you've got two-factor authentication. If you have these things in place, they are limited to only the information that you have put into those accounts. And if you look at, if Microsoft decides to go with, you need to sign in with your Microsoft account, that is also tied to a lot of things on your computer in general, which means not only will you have more targeted ads and makes it easier for them to know your makeup in terms of your purchasing habits and that kind of thing, but it also means that all of your information can potentially be at risk because of various different things. Now, I'm not saying that the security is good or bad. I do not know the workings of Microsoft, but I'm saying that it could potentially be a concern for people because of this acquisition. And here is the proof that other people have started to think about the ramifications of this sale and how this could really be a detriment to gamers on top of everything else that is going on with the company. So we're going to continue with the article. The statement to the FTC explained that the addition of Activision Blizzard may result in what it calls anti-competitive horizontal effects. It also cautioned the resulting growth of the gaming giant Microsoft. Activision Blizzard is a substantial game publisher with an extremely popular roster of game franchises and burgeoning consumer base. Recent regulatory filings show that Activision has nearly 400 million monthly active users. If the FTC clears this merger, Microsoft will become the third largest gaming company in the world, it said. Additionally, the collective's letter also expressed concern that the deal could potentially undermine the unionization efforts of some Activision Blizzard staffers. It also noted that Microsoft staff within the U.S. don't belong to any unions themselves. And again, this is huge because if Bobby Kotick knew that selling the company would also undermine the potential of a union on top of hiring Wilmer Hale, which is known for being a union-busting law firm. It just seems like everything that is going on is going to shut people down when it comes to fair pay, unionizing, any good business practice whatsoever. And it's just an assumption based on the things that we've been seeing and reading over several months and several years within the industry of how things have progressed with various companies and what Activision Blizzard has been going through. And it wouldn't be a surprise if some of this was to also, again, cover Bobby Kotick's ass and a few other people, because he does have that golden parachute. He will still receive millions of dollars because of the acquisition, even when he departs the company or fulfills his contract in 2023. So it stands to reason that he doesn't need to worry about these things anymore, but is still trying to protect everything that he can before he moves forward. So that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments or in Discord. We do have a place for our patrons to discuss any of the topics in gaming news. And we're going to move swiftly along because the next topic is a doozy. And the next topic is Artesian Builds. Now, Artesian Builds is similar to something like an NZXT, where they will do giveaways and they will do PC builds. And with the cool thing about NZXT is that you can go onto the website and you can specify the budget that you have, the types of games or things that you want to run on your computer, and it will come up with some solutions for you that hopefully fit your price range so that you can have a PC that does what you want it to do. And NZXT makes it easier for people who are less technologically inclined, and they are budget friendly. And Artesian Builds is a company that also does, obviously, PC builds. And these are high-end computers. These are not cheap. My understanding is that if you do not have the financials to get the PC that you're looking at from them, I am not aware of any sort of plan to make it easier. It's just you want this high-end PC, well, you need to shell out the cash for it. And they host various giveaways to their ambassadors and to the general public. And recently, during a Twitch stream, the owner of the company and another member of the company were streaming and pulled the winner for the giveaway. And the winner was a smaller streamer, smaller content creator who, by all rights, should have won the giveaway because they did everything that was required stated in the giveaway terms. And in this particular case, live on stream, the company owner called out the person who won and then was like, "You're barely popular enough to even have this high-end PC." And they started to call out the person's statistics, how many people are following their Twitter, how many people are following their Twitch pages, and basically making the streamer feel like absolute shit. Now, this obviously was met with some backlash as the streamer posted a Twitter thread about the situation. And in this .esports article, they copied some of the links to the tweets, which were, if you haven't heard, Artesian Builds do not care about their small streamer ambassadors, which is another key point to remember, is that this is one of your ambassadors, and you decide to call them out on stream. But I digress. They have monthly PC giveaways for their ambassadors. Great, right? Except they don't care for small streamers. I got chosen, and they changed their rules last minute. Now, this obviously blew up in a multitude of ways. The CEO, who was streaming at the time, stated, all followers combined is still under 5,000, even across multiple socials, Katz said. I was trying to be generous. That's a tough one. And in the final clip that was linked through that Twitter thread, Katz cited that Kiapia's Twitch analytics were ultimately the reason for their decision to re-roll their giveaway. Throughout her Twitter thread, Kiapia described the CEO's behavior as belittling, claiming that he slandered and defamed my stream and me as a person. And this was met with significant backlash. Sonic Mega also had some bad dealings with Artesian Builds and said that they wanted to leverage the person's 10,000 plus followers on Twitch and their 55,000 followers on Twitter. Anyways, he goes on to say, but were only willing to give me partial credit towards a new purchase of one of their rigs, and then says, I would have had to buy in with my own money for their sponsorship. What a joke. And of course, other creators, stepped in and started talking about things, at which point Artesian Build tried to tweet about it and tried to save face, going, hey, Twittersphere, I'm really sorry for the way we did parts of the giveaway today. We've given a lot of people a lot of awesome free tech, and that's not going to stop. If you want to talk, I'm here. That's the kind of point of being live so much. Wow. So, with this article, I found a few more things. On the Artesian Builds site, they list a number of different partners. Now, I know that a lot of people in the Destiny community ran away screaming from Artesian Builds. I know that other people who, were ambassadors of the program or had sponsorship deals with them also backed away from their program, and it has done significant damage to Artesian Builds. Now, one of their larger supporters has been Nick Mertz, and again, a .esports article. Nick Mertz responds to our Artesian Builds giveaway controversy, and I don't think anyone is going to watch that and think anything good of it. So with this, he talks about the situation a little bit, and then he says that point blank, without beating around the bush, what the homie said on that stream and the way he said it was very weird. It was very, very odd and very weird. Nick agreed with the consensus on Twitter, saying, I don't think anyone is going to watch that and think anything good of it. I don't like it. Although Nick was quick to distance himself from the situation and said that he doesn't like nor support the specific behavior, he stated his dislike for cancel culture and the perceived possibility that people or companies could be buried for their actions. So as of the recording of this, I believe that he is still one of their ambassadors, but the debacle sort of continues. So obviously, Kiapia did not receive the computer, and I imagine they no longer want to support Artesian Builds because of their poor unprofessional actions. But then Jay's Two Cents, an incredibly popular YouTuber who talks about computer tech constantly, incredibly knowledgeable, and I highly recommend people watch those videos, even if you're not fully understanding of all of the elements of these videos. There's a lot to be learned from these people. And Jay's Two Cents tweeted, when a company decides on live stream, I don't like this ambassador because they don't meet our imaginary requirements. Screw these guys. Kia Pia, I got you. Forget these guys. I'll send you a kick-ass PC for having to put up with these guys, who themselves are quite small. Now, talk about smackback. That here's Jay's 2 cents going to hell with you, you're tiny fish, in comparison to the people that I know and who are part of my network and who are part of my fan base. And you're going to be a fucking amazing person and out of pocket go, I'm going to send you a PC because you should have legitimately won that giveaway and they're not fulfilling their end of the bargain. He continues to say, the fact that I even tagged those assholes gives them more visibility than they deserve. But you know what? They deserve all the negative press they can get, for one, quality, and two, the fact they cheered not having to send a PC to a small streamer. Fuck them. And I have to say I agree. I obviously liked both tweets, and I am absolutely, like, you know, bow to Jay's 2 cents. He really did not have to step up and do that. That was an amazing gesture. I have mad respect for Jay's 2 cents. Anyway, so Artesian Build tried to cover their ass, and they released a statement that during last evening's live stream, I made a statement that has affected and hurt Kia Pia. I take full accountability and sincerely apologize for how my statement has hurt Kia Pia as a viewer and participant in supporting Artesian. Due to updated giveaway guidelines, which were not in alignment for this giveaway, I made the wrong decision to not provide the giveaway prize to the rightful winner. This action does not reflect the values of Artesian. Okay, are you looking for credit, or are you looking for the community to absolutely hate you? Because that is a fucking awful statement right there. This action does not reflect the values of Artesian, saying that, oh, we're just gonna hide behind quote-unquote company policy. We see you, Noah. You're the one who called Kia Pia out on stream, and this is you quite clearly backpedaling. But I digress. The rest of this, it pisses me off to no end. The statements I made regarding the updated giveaways guidelines were made under the wrong circumstance and were in no way appropriate. We would like to be able to provide new guidelines in the future that will allow everyone to participate in all and any giveaways. The statement made regarding our viewers does not align with the values at Artesian Builds. I apologize for how this has hurt our community. So you don't really feel bad for screwing over the person who legitimately signed up for your giveaway. But furthermore, you're still not going to send them anything, and at this point, they really shouldn't want to receive anything from Artesian because of this whole thing. In fact, I feel like Kia Pia has probably received a lot more support from people and has maybe had a significant boost in their numbers because of this situation. And the fact that the rest of this statement is just talking about how, well, things don't quite align and we should have been more transparent about it. No, what you did was deliberate. We've seen the clips. We've heard what you said and the snarky, arrogant attitude that you had towards a legitimate content creator that is trying to make a living and boost up their numbers and to potentially do something good. We don't know a person's circumstances, and how dare you call them out on stream like that, like your numbers are everything. I would much rather support a company that genuinely values their people. It doesn't have to be massive gestures, but you don't call out your people like this live on stream and expect to get a free pass. It's just unprofessional. Never mind anything else. I am going to say that there is potential that you screwed yourself without realizing the consequences. And you, as a business owner, should have recognized what you should and should not have done in that situation. And this is just talking about, we're going to change our policies. Seriously, fuck right off. So it gets better. For one thing, a beautiful user somewhere on Twitch decided to gift Artesian Builds a subscription, a tier 3 subscription to Kiapia, so that at least Kiapia is supported in some way by Artesian Builds before they give Artesian the absolute boot, which I believe they have done at this point. But I find it's absolutely hilarious that now they're forced to support the small streamer, even though they did not want to support the small streamer, because you can freely and anonymously gift subscriptions to people. And what I mean by freely is not that it's free to get a subscription, obviously, to someone, but that you are allowed to gift subscriptions to people on Twitch if they have that enabled on their profile to accept gift subscriptions from people. That's more what I mean here. So it continues forward. There was a tweet by OnePegMG who did a video covering Artesian Builds, so it's kind of the when it rains, it pours. And in this case, there's a video that is apparently they have issues with the state of California for tax evasion. So not only did they screw themselves in the foot, but now they've got some big problems with the government as well. And the YouTube video is linked in the reply, which I will also link in the sources below. But it just goes to show you that you should be careful of who you pick your fights with and what sort of happens, because one bad thing leads to another bad thing often, and this is karma saying, hey, how are you? So I thought that was kind of amusing. I believe that Artesian is going to go through hell moving forward, and I do hope that the government does receive their money and that they essentially get what they deserve in this case, regardless of what that is, whether someone takes over the company and this guy steps down, whether they hire people to do emergency maintenance, you know, whether that is they just drop off the wayside. Who knows what will happen ultimately, but what they did here was wrong. And regardless of if you decide you're going to support them or not, never, ever shame a content creator or a streamer because of their numbers. They have worked their butts off to get where they are, and it takes a lot of work to be a content creator. Trust me, I know it takes a long time to build up anything, and this was just clearly unprofessional of them, and they should never have done that live on stream, because the internet is forever. Finally, the last thing I want to cover is the GMG Union workers, and in this case, I'm talking about anybody that falls under the umbrella of Go Media, and that includes a number of different places. So once again, we are back at Game Industry Biz, where the Gizmodo Media Group Union went on strike today with staff at Kotaku, Gizmodo, Yalopnik, Jezebel, Lifehacker, and The Root, all halting work and asking people not to visit their sites for the duration of the strike. The group's existing contract with Go Media expired last night, and the union identified a number of issues on which it could not come to an agreement with the company for a new contract. Since January 31st, the Gizmodo Media Group Union and Go Media's outside counsel have met 5 times. Every session, the company's outside counsel sidestepped and delayed, refusing to provide written counter-proposals to the union's good faith proposals. How can you bargain a contract when the people across the table won't even clearly state what they're advocating for? The union said Go Media was refusing to add work-from-home flexibility into the contract or commit to keeping its remote workers remote. Earlier this year, Go Media saw almost half of the AV Club staff depart when they were given the choice of relocating to Los Angeles or losing their jobs. The article continues with some more statements. Kotaku staff is very trans, non-binary, and genderqueer, Kotaku editor-in-chief Patricia Hernandez said on Twitter. I stand with them and everyone else at Go Media fighting for better working conditions to make the content that you love. The union said 93% of its membership participated in a strike authorization vote, and 100% of those voting were in favor of the action. It has also set up a strike fund to support its workers. So this sort of continues forward because there are a few statements from a couple of other websites that I want to make note of. And the first one is from Forbes, where in here, Paul Tassi mentions that it is rare that total newsroom walkout in an industry that has only recently become more unionized, but Go Media has been a rare case in the space with its antagonistic relationship with its writers and staff, which have resulted in high-profile departures, like the entire staff of Deadspin quitting and being replaced. Current Deadspin is not part of GMG and not on strike. He continues to say, this is the seemingly inevitable endpoint of constant conflicts with Go Media, where the network of sites was acquired by Great Hill Partners, a private equity firm. The union has listed a number of demands that they want to be met for a new contract, which include more inclusive health care for trans and gender expansive employees, salary increases in the wake of the pandemic during rapid inflation, better family leave, which is currently too limited, allowing for work-from-home flexibility and getting management to stop demanding remote workers move to NYC, and not enough consistent work on diversity efforts. So there is footage and some tweets of the strike outside of the buildings, and the article was updated to include the message to staff from CEO Jim Spanfeller, which states, on behalf of the entire leadership team at Go Media, I am disappointed we could not come to terms on the current GMG Union contract. We bargained in good faith right up until the deadline late last night when the union voted to cut off talks and strike. To be clear, the terms we offer the GMG Union were not only equivalent to, but in some instances better than, terms agreed to by the Onion Union, GMG's sister union here at Go, just 1 year earlier. We are struggling to understand why terms agreed to by half the editorial union members last year are not acceptable to the other half now. Unfortunately, that puts Go Media in an untenable position with regard to these current negotiations. Disagreements between unions and management are nothing new, and I am hopeful we will find the middle ground soon. We invite the GMG union to return to the bargaining table so that we may reach a deal that satisfies its members while enabling Go to operate profitably. The simple truth is that my role, along with colleagues in the leadership of Go, is to balance the needs of all of our employees with the needs of the business to set us all up for success, not just those in the GMG union. Fortunately, our contract with the Onion established a workable framework for that success, so I know it's achievable. Now, this does feel very strange to me. I do not know some of the specifics as to what they brought to the bargaining table and how little was maybe included in those proposals between them, but it stands to reason that if they're not agreeing on different points, that it's just not enough. And today, in diversity, inclusion, equity are big topic items, and unionizing is more and more important for this exact reason, to fight for the employees and to make sure that they're fairly treated and fairly paid. And it has shown that the fallout with Activision Blizzard continues to sort of cause this ripple effect through the rest of the gaming industry, where people will no longer take the crap that these big name companies are giving them. And they need to be treated properly and paid well for what they do. And if these companies are not willing to step up and do that, there is a big problem, and people are clearly not going to take it anymore. So this has got more media attention, obviously. Variety also covered this topic as well. And in this article, there is a statement that the GMG union said in 2015, this union broke new ground when it organized the first digital media union. Now, GMG union will break ground yet again. We are the first digital media shop to go on an open-ended strike for fair contract. The GMG union said it has been engaged in good faith negotiations with Go Media since late January. At every step, Go Media has slowed down the process with a lack of preparedness and stalling tactics, it said. The union is asking Go Media to maintain its cap on healthcare costs, guaranteed minimum wage increases, add trans-inclusive health coverage compliant with the World Professional Association for Transgender Health guidelines, and maintain parental leave benefits. This is a very big deal. Those are not unreasonable terms. There's reason why Go Media is suffering right now, and why the GMG union has banded together fighting for their people. And if this gives you pause, and if this gives you enough reason to support the strike and to support the fairness, the pay equity, parental leave, etc., please go take a look at the GoFundMe page. It is very close to its goal right now. I will link that below if that is something that you would like to support. I highly recommend that you go take a look, and go take a look at some of the things that have been brought up through the process. But these workers need to be treated fairly and to be paid fairly in accordance with their contract. And the fact that there are unions stepping into the gaming industry to help these people, intimidates companies, big name companies, because they want to pay attention to the bottom dollar, and they try to skimp around things as much as they possibly can. And before, they could get away with it without problem. And now the industry as a whole is not going to allow that to happen and is constantly fighting for their own rights to be paid properly, especially during a global pandemic where people are more hesitant to go back to work because we haven't got rid of everything. There isn't going to be what used to be normal, or at least for quite some time. And regardless of how you feel in that situation, a lot of people want to be treated fairly and to still have a place to live. And we know that the United States has got to a point where there are a lot of people who might be out of a place to live because the cost of living has increased and their wages have not really improved. And in fact, there are a lot of people who are not working. So consider all of that when you look at this particular situation. And if you have the means to support the GMG union workers, please do. And if not, maybe spread the message, retweet it, share it in Discord servers or something to help these people and make sure that they're treated fairly when companies fail them horribly. So, with that, thank you so much for being part of the Patreon. I do the gaming news videos every single week, and soon I will get back to editing my novel every single week as well. And I will be continuing to do more Let's Plays, and there will be a significant boost in the channel because I have some more time. So please don't forget to spread the word that I am doing these videos and that I have this content available for people. It really means a lot to me that you support me to this day. I appreciate all of you. And with that, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.